Find the slope of the line through the pair of points. Whenever I have to find the slope of a line, I'm going to use what's called the slope formula, and that's m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now, what are these x's and y's with those little numbers attached to them? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to label these points x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. If you're wondering why I called these the ones and these the twos, there's no reason. I guess because that's the first point and that's the second. The reality is I could have called this point x sub 1, y sub 1, and I could have called this point x sub 2, y sub 2. The order is not going to be a big difference. What matters is making sure you have x, y, and the same numbers grouped together. But since this is what I chose, I'm going to use these labels to plug them in. Okay, so y sub 2 is negative 15, and when you substitute negative 15 or any number in any of these, you're going to replace them with parentheses in that number. So y sub 2 becomes parentheses negative 15 close parentheses. Minus sign, y sub 1 is parentheses negative 16 close parentheses, all over. X sub 2 is parentheses negative 7 close parentheses, minus sign in the middle. X sub 1 is parentheses 19 close parentheses. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up each part. If there's nothing in front of the parentheses, I don't need the parentheses. So negative 15 doesn't need a parentheses there. This is a double negative, and a double negative makes this number positive. So minus negative 16 is the same as plus positive 16, so I'm going to clean that up. Nothing in front of parentheses negative 7, so I don't need the parentheses. And minus parentheses 19 is just minus 19. Now that I have that cleaned up, I'm going to do all the math in the numerator and then all the math in the denominator and see what happens. Negative 15 plus 16 is just 1. Negative 17 minus 19 is negative 26. Now I'm going to clean that up by just bringing the negative out here, which I'm allowed to do because a positive divided by a negative makes the whole thing negative, and I get negative 1 over 26. Now what this looks like from a graphical point of view is a very, very, very shallow negative line. Even more shallow than that, because if I were to try to describe this as a slope, as rise over run, I'd go up 1 space and go over 26. So you're looking at a very, very, very shallow line. But that's how I do it. I use the slope formula, I label my points, I plug in my points, I do a little bit of math, I get that, and the visual representation is a very shallow negative slope.